Very good. So now today we have several goals to do. First of all, question and answers from your side. If you need some clarification, because today don't forget that you have deadline for the special assignment, and the weekly assessment tool is also ready. So this means that after the lecture, you can read the chapters, related chapters, and after the chapters, you can finalize the weekly assessment number 2 also. After, we will start the conversation about the yellow hat, thinking hat. So we will explain a couple of interesting information about this one. And I have the brilliant video material and the case study about the positive thinking. I want to share this with you, and after we can discuss this together also. So that's like a main and important thing for us now. So let's start with the question. So let's use the couple of minutes for this. If you have any kind of question, please ask me. I will try my best to help you and to clarify. Yeah, and Ali, it will be about the yellow hat, just about the yellow hat, so not about the other hats. So, okay. About the references down, and there is no necessity to add the references there. If you want it, of course, it's up to you, but I don't have this requirement because it's just a self-reflective essay and nothing special. So accordingly, there is no need to add the references there. Okay, some other questions? I think that it will be on Sunday. So because great announcement and great upload day will be on it will be on Sunday, on every Sunday. So, but don't forget that we have late submission policy also for the assessments and the project, and accordingly we need to wait the other students, and after I will upload all the grades together. But I hope that it will be on Sunday. About the abstract, so there is no need. So you can write this as a one paragraph if you want. So there is no need to add the abstract. It's a self-reflective essay, so it's not an academic essay, let's say. Okay, so how many time I can solve assessment? For the all assessments, you have 2 attempts. Now we don't have the time limit. So in the previous assessment, time limit was 1 hour. Now we don't have the time limit. So, but you have 2 attempts. So this means that if you will close the window or if you will submit or something like this, so this means that you will lose the 1 attempt. So accordingly, you just have the like a 2 attempt for this, and be careful. Okay, I think we can start. So. And if you have any kind of question, please write, use the chat, and when I will read your question, I will try to find the answer on this. Okay, so what I want to tell you, so yeah, it will be the same. So about the black hat thinking, we have had the conversation that black hat thinking is about the negative future scenarios and about the critical thinking and about the disagreement, why we disagree with something or someone, and we're providing the argumentation because it's a logical hat. So this means that accordingly we need to use the logical argumentation, and it's not just about that I don't like something. If you don't like something or you like something, you can use the red hat, because red hat is for the feelings, but for the black hat we're using the, let's say that typical formulation like this, that I disagree with you, and plus argumentation why I disagree with you. So for the yellowhead, yellowhead is more about that positive thinking. So this means that it's more about that positive future scenario. So accordingly, linguistic form for the yellowhead is that I agree with you and I'm explaining, I'm giving the argumentation why I agree with you. So that's the main idea. So this means that blackhead disagree plus argumentation, yellowhead agree plus argumentation. This is the two main ideas. So as you can see, there is an overlaps between the black and the yellow head, and what kind of overlaps you can find here. Both of them, they need the logical argumentation. So if you don't have argumentation, why you disagree with something? So this means that it's not a black or the yellow head, it's just about red hat and you're sharing your intuition or your opinion or your emotion about the something. So accordingly, yellow hat is quite important and it's a quite a difficult hat for use. So what do you think? What kind of negative sides we can find with the black hat thinking? Why it's risky to use the black hat? So what do you think about this issue? So let's say that, tell me some main ideas about the negative sides of the black hat thinking. Because as you know, everything has some negative sides and the positive sides. So what's the negative sides of the black hat thinking? So what kind of problems we will find if we will overuse the black hat thinking? So considered by negativeness, maybe you will lose the internal motivation, and we will have this communication together today. You will find yourself in apathy with the negative emotion, or you will just decide to just forget about the creativity, or just forget about this decision making at all because it's illogical, or we have a feeling that it's illogical. So accordingly, overuse of the black hat thinking, it's not a positive thing. So because we need to remember that black hat thinking and the critical thinking is more natural for us, and accordingly we will always find too many critical thinkings and ideas about the black hat thinking. But sometimes it's very important to find the positive sides also about something. So why it's important to find the positive sides about your solution? Because it can give you enough motivation to finalize your project. It can give you opportunity to see the different future. It can give you brilliant ideas why you need to follow your dream and your goals, and so on and so on. And accordingly, positive thinking, it's more about that personal traits, and because of this, it's quite difficult to use. So accordingly, today we will have a conversation about the purpose of the yellow hat thinking, so link between yellow hat and the critical thinking, and how to use the yellow hat in the correct way. But before we start, I want to share with you one video material. I think that it can help us to understand the yellow hat thinking, first of all, and it can inspire us also. And I think that it's one of the best examples of the positive thinking. So, and first of all, I want to share this because of the yellow hat thinking. And another goal for me is that I want to share with you this feeling. So because maybe it will inspire you in future, because mainly under the SDL courses, me and the other professors also, and it's a worldwide, we're using the examples of the famous people, for example, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, and this kind of, let's say, that rare people, and sometimes we're forgetting that they are famous people, and accordingly they are a little bit special ones. So this means that they have a lot of money, they have the special brain, special education, and so on. Accordingly, yes, they have a story of the success, but this is a story of the success from the special persons. But what about the normal people without any special background, without any special education? And what about if they don't want to achieve financial success. So they just want to create something, but not the financial increase, etc. And accordingly, I think that you liked this video material. Let's watch this together, and after we can discuss the main ideas about this one. I think it's one of the best video material about the positive thinking on YouTube.
This is the town of Jorhat in the remote northeast of India. I suppose Jorhat is not really that different from any other city in India. People here work very hard. They keep their heads down and push ahead. They don't look back. Life here is difficult for some and even more difficult for others. My name is Jitu Kalita, and Jorhat is where I was born and where I live. My house is located just outside of Jorhat. This is my nephew. He's suspicious of cameras. In Jorhat, I do many different things, but mostly I'm a photographer. I love photographing nature. I take shots of the beautiful birds and wildlife that live in our part of India. In my house, I keep some of my photography awards, but I don't like to show them off. A few kilometers north of Jorhat lies one of the largest rivers in India, the Brahmaputra. Millions of people live along its shores. Every year, during the monsoon, the river floods everything in sight, destroying homes and farms and eroding away hundreds of square kilometers of land. One of the worst affected areas is Majuli Island. Majuli is the world's largest river island, and it's home to over 150,000 people. Since 1917, Majuli has lost over half its landmass to erosion. And the rate of erosion has recently accelerated. This is Majuli Island. Since I was a child, Majuli has been a place of wonder for me. Once I ran away from home and came here. I spent days exploring and drawing pictures of the plants and animals. To me, Majuli is heaven. Scientists recently announced that in 15-20 years, Majuli Island could be completely gone. The Brahmaputra is where I take most of my photos. One day in 2009, I was exploring a barren part of the Brahmaputra by boat when I saw something strange. It looked like a forest far in the distance. I began walking towards it, and when I reached it, I couldn't believe my eyes. I had found a dense forest in the middle of a barren wasteland. When I left the forest, I saw a man far in the distance, so I began following him. I found him by the riverside. At first, he thought I was a poacher and tried to attack me. But he stopped when I told him I was just a photographer. I asked him what he was doing in the forest. He explained that he was planting trees and that he had been since the 1970s. He told me his name was Jadav Paeng.
যিটো মানে তেওঁ গৈছিল চৰাই মানে ৱাইল্ড লাইফত কৰে তেওঁ ফটো মাৰিব চৰাই চিৰিকটিৰ কাৰণে গৈছিল মই কিন্তু প্ৰথমত তেওঁক বিশ্বাস কৰা নাছিল তেওঁ যে ৰিপৰ্টাৰ সেইটো বিশ্বাস নাই এইটো কি গড় চৰ মাৰিবলৈ বাঘ চাং মাৰিবলৈ কি আনি চোৰাং চিকাৰী হিচাপে আহিছে বা
When I discovered the Jadav Paeng and his forest, I wrote an article about it in the local newspaper. Soon after, he became known throughout India. We are now very good friends.
মানে প্ৰথম মানে জীৱনলৈ কঢ়িয়াই নিছে বহুত দূৰলৈ মানে এতিয়া য'ত ভাবিব নোৱাৰা হৈছে আৰু নিগনিয়ে মানুহৰ শস্য লোকচান কৰে বুলি পেলাই সি মানুহক সহায়হে কৰিব
This is the forest man's home on Majuli Island. Every morning, the forest man's family helps him prepare for his journey to the forest.
এইটো আপোনাৰ এইটো 79ত তাৰ ষ্টাৰ্টিং কৰিছে তাৰ আগতে এইটো প্ৰস্তুত কৰে এইটো যে 550 হেক্টৰ যে আছে বুলি কৈছোঁ এইটো গছ গছনিয়ে পৰিপূৰ্ণ এইবিলাক সেইকাৰণে
আপুনি কৰিছে
মই কৰিছোঁ এতিয়া মানে আগত যদি অলপমান দেৰিতে লৈছিল এতিয়া ফটাফট কৰিব পৰা ব্যৱস্থাটো আছে ইয়াত যিটো গুটি সংগটো ইয়াৰ পৰাই ল'ব পাৰি হেল্ল' পুৰা আপুনি ক'ত আছেনো এই জংঘলত একদম ঘূৰি ফুৰিব লগা হৈছে নহয়
হেৰিয়াল গছ গছনিবোৰ ডাঙৰ হ'বলৈ ধৰিল লাহে লাহে ডাঙৰ হ'লতো এতিয়া ৰক্ষণাবেক্ষণটো অকলে দিব নোৱাৰি মানুহৰ পৰাই দিব নোৱাৰি কাৰণ মানুহেতো ডাঙৰ হৈ গ'লে এইটো কাটিব ব্যৱসায়মুখী হ'ব ব্যৱসায়মুখী লৈ গছবোৰ আকৌ মুকলি কৰি দিব তেতিয়া এই সাপবিলাক নিৰাপত্তা নহ'ব গছ গছনি এতিয়া সেইখন হাবিত অটব্য অৰণ্য হোৱাৰ কাৰণে 115টা হাতী তাতে 3 মাহ দিন থাকে আৰু সেইদৰে গড় থাকে হৰিণা থাকে বাঘ থাকে বিভিন্ন চৰাই 40 বছৰৰ মূৰত এই বছৰ শগুন দেখিছোঁ বিভিন্ন প্ৰজাতিৰ চৰাই সেইকাৰণে প্ৰাণীকুল জীৱ জন্তুবিলাক বা মানুহ এবিধ প্ৰজাতিয়ে একেহে জীৱটো একেই একো প্ৰজাতিহে এটা মানুহ প্ৰজাতিয়ে বিশেষ একো চেঞ্জ নহয়তো অকল কাপোৰ পিন্ধিব জানে তাৰ বাহিৰেতো একো নাজানে কালি মাৰিব ৰাক্ষসটো নাই মানুহে ৰাক্ষস চব মানুহে খায় সাপো খায় বেঙো খায় একো নাবাচে মানে
The forestman is being honored in a nearby city. Payeng has won dozens of awards for his incredible achievements. But I think he feels frustrated by getting awards. Local government has tried to get Majuli listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but their application has been rejected each time. Payeng has many brilliant ideas about how to save Majuli. He tells everyone his ideas, but so far no one has adopted them.
মানে এটা অৰ্থনৈতিকভাৱে টনকিয়াল হ'ব তাৰ মানুহ সেইকাৰণে অৰহৰ প্ৰচেষ্টাত মই ভাবিছোঁ এইষাৰ কথা কৃষি মন্ত্ৰালয়ক বা য'তেই নহওক মই অনুৰোধ কৰিম যে সেইটো প্ৰথম তাত দিয়ক সেই মানুহখিনি উপকাৰৰ কাৰণেহে লাগে গৰাখহনীয়া ৰোধ কৰিবৰ কাৰণে আৰু নাৰিকল গছে এটা কথা আছে সি হালি নপৰে সদায় থিয়কৈ থাকে নদীয়ে গৰা কাটিলেও যিমান হ'লেও থিয়কৈ থাকে সি তেতিয়া প্ৰটেকশ্যনটো যদি ঘনাই ঘনাই ৰোৱা হয় তেতিয়া আৰু প্ৰটেকশ্যন হ'ব তাৰপৰা মানুহৰ চাহিদা পূৰণ হ'ব বা গোলকীয় উষ্ণতা নিবাৰণ হ'ব তাত মানে 5 বছৰত সেইটো গুটি লাগি এইটো উদ্যোগ গঢ়িলে বাকীবোৰ 7 বছৰ লাগিব 2 বছৰ বেক হৈ যাব তেতিয়া আকৌ ইহঁত হোৱালে এইখন আকৌ ফিট কৰিব পৰা হ'ব
Payeng has already shown the example that if one person can, at his own effort, can do this kind of plantation, then why not the other? I mean, if we can have economic value, if it is economically viable, if it gives benefit to the people, if we can plan it in this way, then we can do it for the entire catchment. In fact, we have proposed this kind of things already, and we have found that it is economically viable. So that way, if this kind of project can be implemented, and gradually one river, another river, whole entire basin, Brahmaputra basin, I hope that through afforestation, we can solve the problem of flood and erosion to a great extent.
Sometimes I wonder what 10 Payengs or 100 or 1,000 Payengs could do. He once told me, I worry about the fate of the world, just like everyone. I see bad things happening on my island, and I do what I can to help. I'm just a simple man. There are many just like me. When I asked him if he thought Majuli could be saved, he replied, yes.
যিকেইদিন থাকিম গছকে ৰুম আৰু এইবোৰ ফিল আপ কৰিব যোৱা ডিষ্ট্ৰিক্টটো যদি ফিল আপ কৰিব পাৰোঁ তাক কোনোবা কাটিবলৈ মোকে কাটিব এইবোৰ কাটিলে কি লাভ আছে প্ৰতিবাদমুখী হ'লেও মই মানে বুজাই দিওঁ গছেতো ঘৰ ভাঙিব নাযায়
So I think that you like this video material. So Abdullah, please repeat your question. I can't remember, so I'm receiving too many emails, so I don't know what about you're asking. And I will try to explain. So just please repeat. So for the others, so what do you think about this video material? So what's the connection between the yellow hat thinking and this video material? Students, I'm waiting. So what do you mean, Ali? So I'm asking what's the connection between this video material and the yellow hat thinking? So let's say that positive thinking and this video material. So what you can see, so is there a relationship between these two things? So let's say that this is a video material about the positive thinking or not. So for example, or what you can see is a positive side there. Let's just brainstorm these ideas, so it will be more interesting for us because, and it will be more clear for you when I will explain this video material. Abdullah, where is your question? Okay, so as you can see in this video material, there's a one man without any special knowledge, without any special background, we can say, without any money, so we can say, or any kind of, let's say that, support from the government. But this person, he created the whole forest. So for example, if someone will ask us that it's easy or it's difficult to create the forest, whole forest, so maybe we'll tell that it's nearly impossible. But this one person without any special background, he created something like this, something amazing. So, and what was the goal? Why I want to, let's say that, show you this video material, because with this we can see that we can believe that many things is possible. So let's say that in the 21st century, so there is no word impossible. There is just a gradation, hard, difficult, and needs more money. So we do not have to give up. We need to do what we can do, and maybe it will be something great. So that's the main idea, because he's a great man. Yes, he's a simple man. He's a man without education, without the billions of the money and etc. But still, he created something very beautiful and very important also. So for whole humanity and for the current region in this situation. Accordingly, so when we are asking the question, so imagine the situation that someone wants to, for example, let's say that we have the plan, we have a goal that we want to create the artificial forest here in Kuwait. I think that it's very difficult, yes, and under the black hat thinking, so let's say that we can provide a lot of challenging things, why it's difficult, why it's impossible, and etc. But what you can do under the yellow hat thinking, how we can evaluate this idea under the yellow hat thinking. So what do you think? For example, it will be good if you will have a forest here, and for example, you can go there for the camping or just for the walking or see your friends and etc. Foresting here in Kuwait. So it's a good idea or it's a bad idea? What do you think? For example, I think it's quite a good idea. So this means that why not? Because it will be beautiful, it will be good for the climate, it will be good for the, let's say that general situation, and so on and so on. And of course, we will find a lot of black hat thinkings about this one, because we need to spend a lot of money on this, so it will cost a lot of money. So of course, we can see and find that it will take a lot of water, so a lot of, I don't know, resources and etc. But still, we can say that it's possible. Because if someone without any background and any support and any money can create the forest like this, Of course, it needs time, 10, 20, 30 years. But what about when the government, when you want to do something like this with this all support, with this all money and etc. So this means that it's possible. And the yellow hat thinking, it's about the possibility. So this means that it's a value thinking, benefit thinking, it's about effectiveness, and it's of course it's about the reasons and the logical support. So this means that for when you're using the yellow hat thinking, it's not just about that. It's not just about that. Let's say that I want to do something. No, you need to justify. You need to add argumentation there. For example, why something can be possible, or how we can do something in future. So accordingly, yellow hat is important because, and it's a challenging and difficult hat because positive thinking does not come normally, because it's more about a personal trait and it's not like a general way of the thinking, because self-protection and the critical thinking is instinctive, and positive thinking it's more learned habit, so we can say. And yellow hat thinking is more about finding the possibility in every situation, so look for the value in every idea, and it should be logically based, one of the most important thing, because I'm telling you that if I want to, let's say that create the forest here in Kuwait, I am agree with you. It's a brilliant idea because there is a lot of experiences on this, and with this amount of money or with this amount of time, we can do this. It's not a problem. So this means that I can logically, let's say that clarify why I agree with you. So and why it's a good thing to do. So. And of course, under this hat, so what I mean that it should be logically based. That what are the values, for whom, under what circumstances, how are the values delivered, and what other values are there. So, and we need to say that we need to recognize as a good idea, and after we need to find the argumentation. So this means that why we agree with this something. Of course, I'm repeating that if you don't like the idea, so this means that for the emotion and the intuition, you can always go to under the red hat. But red hat is just a feeling. So, but if you have argumentation, why you have some positive feeling about this issue, go under the yellow hat and provide the argumentation. And for example, here is like a speculative positive argumentation, positive spectrum, reasons and the logical support, constructive thinking, relation, and relation to the creativity. So, let's go through this one by one. So, for the speculative positive ideas, we mean that being positive is a choice, and it's related to the positive thinking. So this means that you need to make this choice, that you can tell yourself that I want to think about this one in a more positive way. So you need to expect the favorable outcomes. So you need to be a constructive. So what I mean under constructive, that you need to make things happen. So you need to tell yourself that I will do this one, I'm going to do this, and now I will use the constructive thinking to justify why it's a good idea. So accordingly, we have focus on the benefits, and positive thinking includes the curiosity, positive emotion, and desire to make things happen. So, and the challenging thing is that powerful positive points may not be obvious at the first sight. Of course, if you're using the yellow hat thinking after the black hat thinking, it will be a little bit challenging for you to find the positive thinking, because imagine the situation that you have a solution after you're using the black hat thinking, and all your group members, they are providing a lot of negative sides about your current idea, and after this 10 or 15 points of the negative sides, you need to provide the positive side. So of course it's a challenging thing, but if you will spend the time and energy on this, of course you will find these positive sides. And sometimes I'm recommending the organization or the students that it's better to start with the yellow hat after the green hat, and after the yellow hat you can use the black hat. But it's a decision that you need to make under the blue hat, and we will have a conversation about this one in the next week. Abdullah special assignment, it's at 10%. So, and with the weekly assessment number 1 from the normal classes, so this means that it will be at the 20% together. So, I'm repeating this one more time, that you can check this on your Moodle page, that special assessment weightage is at 10%. and that's it. 10% from the total grade. So it's depends on the situation. After the green head, you can use the black head and after yellow head, or you can use the yellow head and after the black head. So it's up to you. So, but main idea is that you need to use this after the green head, after the proposals. So, Abdullah, do you have any other questions about the special assignment? Please ask me. So, and I will try to explain. But one more time, it's a 10%, and it's a 10% from the total grade. So, it's okay. Okay. So next slide, let's discuss this one. So for the positive spectrum, so what we mean under the positive spectrum, that our argumentation about the positive thinking needs to be realistic. So what we mean under the realistic, that here you can see this direction from the foolishness to the logical argumentation. So this means that you need to provide the argumentation, but this argumentation needs to be the logical, positive, probable, and the logical, and not the foolishness. For example, that I have a general feeling that it will be impossible, and I can provide the logical argumentation and so on. And because of this, it's not a yellow head thinking. Because yellow head thinking, it's a critical thinking also, because you're using the logical argumentation. But logical argumentation for positive justification and why you agree about something. So that's the main idea here. So for the reasons of the logical support, so it is that we can explain what is the positive view based on, why do you think that it will happen in this way, so background reasons for the optimism, and can it be only good feelings or there is argumentation. You can answer on this question, or you can ask this question there. And of course, it's about that experience, logical deduction, trends, variable information, and positive judgment and exploration and speculation. So, and for the constructive thinking, so this means that we need to make things happen, and of course, proposals and the suggestions are made in order to make something better. So this means that when I'm using the constructive thinking, so I'm suggesting that I want to make in order to make something better. So this means that this is the main assumption about this one. And of course, here we have to find the solution, how to make things better, proposals and ideas, building the sky castles, and etc. And for the speculation, so here we can say that it's more about the vision and the mission, because first of all, we need to understand our vision. So what Harry Roethlisberger vision, and after we can provide some justification and argumentation about our vision. So, and it's more about attitudes and the positive hopes, and it's more about the total opportunity thinking, so possible benefits and the values, so we can say, and the best possible scenarios that we can find for our current decision-making plan. And what about the relation to the creativity? So what do you think? What's the relation between the yellow hat and the creativity? So what's the relationship between the yellow hat thinking and the creativity? So it can boost our creativity, but mainly creativity it's for to create the new solution. And normally we're using the creativity for the green hat. But under the yellow hat, it's more about effectiveness. So let's say that we need to evaluate new idea or old idea about the effectiveness. So that's the main differences between them. So you can use your creativity to justify, for example, provide the argumentation, creative argumentation about the future negative or future positive scenario. But still, the main differences between the green and the yellow hat is that for the green hat, we're creating the solution, but for the yellow hat, we're evaluating the effectiveness. So that's the main differences between them. So for the critical thinking and the optimism, so we can see that here's the optimism, here's the critical thinking, and when we are using the critical thinking and optimism together, it's a wisdom. So this means that when we are using the just a optimism and we are not using the critical thinking, it's a naive approach about the life. So I don't think that it's a good for us. So when we don't using the critical thinking and optimism, both of them, so this means that it's apathy. So it's a lack of interest, enthusiasm, or concern about the something. When you're just using the critical thinking and not the positive thinking, so this is a cynicism there. So this means that it's also a negative thing for us. So this means that we need to avoid to use just the critical thinking. We need to use the critical thinking with the positivity. And we need to check our assumptions. So we need to be aware about our fallacies, and we need to keep deductive validity in mind. So what is the meaning of naivety? So what Ali meaning for this is that when we think that something will happen but without the argumentation. So when someone is telling that he is a naive person, so they mean that it's an experienced person, and he can trust with everyone or with anything. So this means that he can predict the future with the argumentation. So this means that we can, when you have a friend and when he is a very naive, so this means that he trusts everyone and everything. So without the, let's say, the double check, without the argumentation or without the critical thinking. So that's the explanation of the naive person. So clear? So where is the question? So let's say that it's for the samurai, it's a lack of experience, wisdom, or the judgment. So that's the main explanation about this terminology, let's say. So, and about the resilience, so this means that is a foundation on which the optimism is built. So, and about risk and protective promotion factors help us to develop the resilience. And independent stressors can be that you have no control over this, so law of property, works, and etc. Dependent, you have control over this, so this means that you can manage them. And there is the assets, abilities, and the personality qualities and traits, for example, IQ or EQ. And the resources, that external factors that support family, friends, social support services, and the quality education, for example. So and accordingly, when we have a lot of risk factors and the lack of the promotive factors, so this means that we're not being able to cope with the situation. But when you have the promotive factors and this is enough for the situation, so this means that we are being able to cope with the situation. And accordingly, we need to try to increase our assets, and we need to find more opportunities when we are thinking about the problem solving. So I think we have some problem with the internet again. Let's just wait. And so that's it. So we can summarize the today's lecture about the yellow hat thinking. And main idea about the yellow hat thinking, it's about thinking about the positive sides and thinking about that possibilities. So, but it's not just a positive feeling about something. No, it's about that positive feeling plus argumentation. So this means that I disagree with something or with someone, and I disagree with someone. Why? Because I have some special argumentation and logical argumentation for this. Accordingly, yellow hat thinking is a very important hat for the thinking, because it can help us to motivate the team. It can help us to find the motivation for ourselves, and it can help us to find the possibilities. So because of what we are going to do in future and how we are going to do this in future. Okay, so that's it. Now let's use the rest of the time for the answers to the question. So if you have any kind of question, please ask me. I'm here to help you. If you don't have a question, please go read your yellow hat chapter, and after you can write your weekly assessment number 2. So, and that's it. See you in the next week. So if you don't have a question, but if you have a question, of course I'm here.